Well, hi, this is Jeannie Moore. I'm with Maximum Desire Podcast, and I'm with Craig. He is an attorney and a podcaster as well. He has a podcast, Uncharted Catholic Men, and we have our special guest, and I'm really excited, and that's my personal trainer that I talk about all the time on my podcasts. And this is an opportunity to actually hear from him personally. Now, some of you are going to be listening to this recording or this on my podcast, which is Audible. But if you want to see us visually, you can go to Craig's YouTube channel. And so I'll put all this information in the show notes, everything about Marcus and everything about Craig, so you'll have access to all this information. Well, first of all, I'd like to say welcome, Marcus. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, I want to first let the audience know how I met you. This was during the pandemic, and I was looking for a personal trainer, and I had no idea where I was going to find one. And I was actually working out in an outdoor gym and with another trainer at that time. And Marcus walks in, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I kept thinking to myself, who is this guy? And the trainer I was with said, you're not allowed to talk to him. And so I didn't. I mean, I just saw him. But what stood out is how Marcus carried himself. He's like 6'5" and lean all over. So it's not like you're in shape, but you have a beer gut or a big belly. He was lean all over. And so I pretty much didn't think about it again and worked out and finished my workout and went home. And then about a year later, I saw him over at a bar right across the street from where I live. And same thing happened. He was at the bar and he stood up and I was across the room. And as soon as he stood up, I thought, oh my gosh, who is this guy? And somebody heard me say that and they went over to him and asked him to come over. And he came over and I eventually went up to him. And now I'm not exaggerating when I tell you this, Marcus can agree to this. And he's shaking his head. But I've never experienced this in my life, but as I was talking to him, 3 women came up that were a little loose, that had been drinking.
No, they were drunk.
Drunk. Okay, drunk. See, he's
They were
gonna
drunk.
he'll add correct me.
There's no little.
And they pushed me out of the way and they kept hanging on him. And I went and sat down because I thought I'm not gonna play this game. That's not my thing. So later I turned to watch him with these women, and it was very unique and different how he handled these women. He was very professional. He kept his hands away from them, but they were all over him. But I was absolutely shocked and surprised in how he handled that situation. And my husband saw that. And later, when everybody had left him, I went up again and introduced myself. And my husband came up and said, Marcus, my name is Kurt. I'm Jeannie's husband. Would you be willing to go across the street and talk privately and where it's not so noisy and it's a little bit more quiet? And he said, sure. And so we went across the street and we must have talked about 3 or 4 hours. And I was so impressed with this man. And I knew that there was something different. And I kept asking him. Finally, after like the 3rd hour, he shared that he played in the NFL and he was trained to be able to handle people that come up to him in a professional manner, so he wouldn't get in trouble. Or I'm not sure how to say that. Marcus, you could probably do a better job at that. But anyway.
Usually in the league, they do seminars as far as, because we're high class athletes, that we're going to get a special type of attention. So they put us through like meeting seminars. And like every NFL is going to have some former FBI agent or some former CDDPS, someone that was in the law enforcement to go over stuff with us with regards with clubs, women, money, like all those things. So I had I've been doing this. I'm 36 now. I stopped playing when I was 30. So, I've been dealing with it most of my life. So in terms of being around there, I knew how to handle myself.
You certainly did. I was really impressed. So from that night on, we hit it off, and he has been my trainer. And actually, I met him 2 years ago this month. It's our birthday month, my birthday and his birthday. I'll never forget it. So 2 years. So welcome, Marcus. And before we get started, before I start asking you questions, and Craig as well, because Craig is going to join in and ask questions as well. Could you please tell the listening audience your background and what you have done? Because you're now a personal trainer, a wellness specialist. So you do a lot. So it's not fair just to say you're a personal trainer. So could you just kind of give us a well-rounded view of your past and what you do now?
Past is, I grew up in North Carolina, born and raised. So, being the South, the necessary of health and wellness wasn't relevant there, but at the same time, we was old school. You wake up, eat breakfast, take your behind outside, don't come back to the lights on. So that's a good way to stay in shape. And then, I started playing football in 7th grade, and I don't know, first time me playing sports, period. So of course I sucked, got bullied, got picked on. Literally, I got picked on in football all the way till my junior year. And that's got to a point where I was like, I had that growth spurt. I was a junior at 250, 6'3". So, I pretty much handled everybody that was on the field then. So from there, I went to Garden City Community College because, back then I didn't really have no thought, making an NFL or anything like that. Because, my school, Western Hornet High in Littleton, North Carolina, that we only have one dude. And there's literally one dude that came from our school and played. So the odds of even doing that was not relevant until literally my senior year. And that's when by then, I was not that fan of school. I was smart, but I gave them the answer and never showed them work. So I had little things with school until I figured, maybe this is my ticket out of where I'm at, because, small town in the country, you got, between drugs, gangs, rednecks, sometimes KKK that's in the all the way in the woods. Because you're talking about North Carolina, they're in the woods. They're there.
Wait a minute. So before you go any further, you experienced the KKK? I'm going to ask.
They be out there in the woods all the time.
Yeah,
There's
okay,
certain areas we can go, and then certain areas it's like don't go there.
Okay.
Like there are certain roads we'll drive on, and there's certain roads it's like, no, don't go down there. Don't try it.
Did you ever see any activity that caused fear at all, or?
I was think knowing the activity out there, I kept my distance in those areas. So you'll see people, in and out stores that that they're in that group, and they're not gonna be sitting there wearing it all out in the public. They're gonna be, back in the area. So like as far as activities, you see aftermath activities, but as far as like why it's happening, it's like it'll be safe to say for me to stay away and not, try not to get caught.
Okay. I'm sorry, keep going. That's something that we don't talk about, we kind of push it under the rug, and it's really uncomfortable to talk about. So thank you for sharing that. So
yeah. So graduation, I was able to get a little scholarship at a school called Garden City Community College, which people probably don't know. The only people that would know that school is like real football heads, because people think it's just a community college, but actually Garden City has produced some of the best players in the junior college era. My school to date has, I think, 300 some players in the NFL that made it to the NFL. So it was actually a pretty big thing. But you know how social life, if you're not in the top D1 school or whatever, then you're irrelevant. And it's safe to say, going through that school like Garden City, Dodge City, Coffeyville, Independence, Highland, Butler Community College, I mean, I've seen players that, go from there to Nebraska. Like I went to Troy University after Garden City. And then after that, I had a good few months with the New Orleans Saints in 2008. So, I was there, when Drew Brees' first year, Reggie Bush was there, Deuce McAllister's last year. I mean, Ron Harper, Jonathan Vilma, I mean, Jeremy Shockey, I mean, Marquez Colson. I mean, I can name a lot of people. Cedric Ellis, Will Smith, rest in peace, man. That man taught me a lot while I was in the NFL. So, and then from there, I came here to Arizona to play with the Arizona Rattlers, which is the arena football team, which was a high quality football from the early '80s all the way to they went bankrupt in 2008. They came back from 2010 to 2017, 18. So, I mean, we was on CBS Sports, we was on ESPN. So, I mean, it was a pretty big deal. The best thing you can get other than being in the NFL. And then from there, I won 3 championship rings back to back in 12, 13, 14 with the Rattlers. So from there, I did 1 year in LA because I had a surgery called Jones fracture surgery. And usually a Jones fracture surgery, they say it's more career ending because of where the area of the bone is. So to explain it, your the 5 bones in the foot, your metatarsals. Your fifth metatarsal is the outside of your foot. And there's an area where there's only one blood vessel going through. So if you fracture that area, that fractures that blood vessel. So it takes blood to produce the white blood cells to fix everything, put the calcium in the area to reform the bone. So when you have no blood flow, it doesn't heal. And I played with a fractured one for 1.5 years till it finally broke through. So I ended up getting the surgery. And the thing about sports is sometimes you have a time period of healing and then you got your paycheck. And usually we're getting paid throughout the season, so we need that paycheck. So sometimes we rush our injuries, our healing process to get back on the field. And that's what I did. I fell back, pretty bad. So I ended up going to a team in LA. And that's when, like, second to the last game, I took a hit. It felt different from any other hit that I felt. It froze me for a good few seconds. And that's when I was like, I'm done playing.
Where did you get hit?
Oh, it was I was on defense, hit the quarterback, turn around. We call it interception. So usually interception, we turn around and back before they eliminated hard hits, we usually try to find a person and just straight lay them out. So I did that, and usually I'm good. I power through, get up, celebrate. I hit him, I froze. I literally just froze. And that's when I was like, I think my body's done. So yeah, that year I just got out of the league. And then at that same time too, that year my grandma passed away. She had a little form of diabetes. She died from pancreatic cancer. But she also had a rare disease, which, I mean, it plays significance, but she did pass away through pancreatic cancer. She lasted 7 months. She was given 4. So between that and then my aunt, she passed away too, which she had diabetes too, to the point where her stomach shut down. So they gave me a point to realize what's going on in my life because I was I had 3 surgeries on my 4th because not only my left foot was fixed, I also broke my right foot that same year. So I was pending for surgery. I was always hurt, messing up something, hurting something, pulling something. And I was like, what's going on in my life? Then I got my blood checked and I was in diabetic range. And I was like 317 then. So, I mean, I can show you the picture, like if we can switch over.
Yes. So the before picture when you were playing in the
Yeah.
NFL,
So
and
the before picture when I finally retired, before I retired, I was 317 pounds, and then I dropped down. I got all the way down to 223. And during the time while I was 223, I also did a bodybuilding show after playing. Just not only it wasn't really to win because we if people know about bodybuilding, it's all about the best look. Some things that they do is not how they thought of, but at the same time, there's always side effects. Some things they do, so I didn't want to go that route. So I did more natural way, and I got down to the best I can be because usually bodybuilding, me being 6'5" is a disadvantage because I'm tall. My muscles are stringy, lengthy, not thick and robust like shorter people are. So they're gonna look a lot wider than I do, and I have to gain 60, almost 80 pounds more than someone that's like 5'10" or someone that's 6 foot to look as wide as them. And that's not what I wanted to do. I just wanted to get down to first possible. Got down to like 4% body fat. If I can show the picture, I'll do that now.
and my understanding, you came in second place. Is that correct?
Yes, my last show, I came in second place. I actually did a total of 4 shows, and yeah, that's my fourth one because we all told everybody, we told each other, like my coach, that I had that in order to get an NPC card to get to that level, then I have to, start doing stuff that I don't want to do. So it was probably better that I, just stop where I was at and move on. So, and during that process, I was also, doing my personal training. Here's a picture. Then I was 317. The middle picture is my last show that I had done. I was 223. And then the last picture was 2 years later. I gained some more weight, but kept the body, kept the discipline, and became thicker while killing myself trying to cut down and look like I'm 4% body fat with no six pack or the 8 pack.
Wow. What's your body fat percentage now?
Right now, I keep it no lower than 9. I keep it between 10 to 12. I usually keep it around that range because it still gives me that lean look, but I also have that extra extra fat to use for energy for athletic movements. Because the lower your body fat is, the less energy you have for those type of activities, and you can easily like pull a muscle because you just don't have that kinetic energy to perform.
Well, that middle picture of you, you're
Mhm.
down to 5% body
But
fat, correct, you
about
said?
5% body fat at
And
that last
then
show.
and then in order to compete further, you said you would have to do things that you didn't feel comfortable doing, correct?
Yeah,
And I
for that, yeah, that was I was 223 and I was 223 in that picture. For me to compete to possibly get an NPC card, I have to be at least 260. And we're talking about not like 260 muscle with less than 5% body fat. So I had to be in that 3 to 2% range to see the fullness of all the muscle. And what it takes to get down that low is it's pretty grueling. If you want to know one of the hardest way to be disciplined, do a show. It'll show you what discipline is. But with me, my football background plus this, it gave me that extra edge of discipline.
wow. Well, you look great, I have to say there, and you still look great. So you're doing something right. That's a big difference from when you played football to when you were training for that show.
Yeah, because if people see like, and a lot of people see like I see a big lineman. At the same time, people didn't know that that person on the left was eating Chinese food almost every other day. That person on the left was eating a pack of Oreos. We're not talking about a roll. We're not talking about a little pack. We're talking about the double stuffed bit pack of Oreos. Or I'll eat about 4 or 5 king size Reese's or Twix chocolate peanut butter. I was that person.
And
And
tell me too, you had said one time you went out to dinner, right? Well, you did it a lot, but with your other players. And it was
yeah.
easy for you guys to drop how much money? I mean, what you ate and the money you spent eating?
Oh, you're talking, back when in NFL days, yeah, it was. But at the same time, you gotta recognize like the places that they usually went. I mean, but at the same time, we went to a PF chain, and we dropped easy 10 grand in there. We're talking about food between all the groups. Most of them they're drinking wine. You know, usually they have beef dinner with wine, and usually they get like the most expensive wine in there. And there's certain PF chains in certain cities that serve that high class quality food and wine, and yeah, it'll stack up. It'll
Well, and
stack
how
up.
many for $10,000, how many players are we talking? How many are at that table? Oh my
About
gosh.
10, about
10.
about 10, 12.
We're
Because
talking about
usually when we go out, we kind of stay with our position group. So all the D linemen go out, D line, O line go out. Like sometimes it's just D line, sometimes just defense. So we went as just a defensive group. So there was like 10 here, a couple here, a couple here, and yeah,
hey, that's like $1,000 per person. I thought $100 when I go out to dinner was a lot of money.
actually mine was the cheapest because I didn't drink. All I did was got a couple appetizers and my entree.
Oh my gosh.
Then I'm still trying to keep my foot in because I'm not trying to spend all that money. Like people buying the Range Rover Sport. I'm like, dude, you're like 350 trying to fit in the Range Rover Sport. That's small. Why? Just get you like a GMC. You be good. Just get your Audi. You be good.
Well, you're so tall. So for the people that are listening to this
Mhm.
podcast and it's audible, if you were to see Marcus right now, he's like 6'5", and I watched him get into a sports car, and it didn't look pretty, and I think he got stuck or something. It looked like you got stuck.
Yeah, it was a Lamborghini Murcielago, and like I said, there's a there's a reason why I could not fit in. I was literally like hands here, knees here.
So,
So
so Marcus, so can you, I don't want to jump away from the NFL experience because I know you don't talk about it very much, but I'd like to talk about it just a little bit because I know on my podcast, I do have men that listen, and I
mhm.
do know that men are going to listen to Craig's as well. So, can you talk about what it took to play in the NFL? What I mean by that is your mindset, because what is it? 0.000% of men or women become elite athletes, and you are an elite athlete. And
Yep.
if you be in the gym with you, you would see that anybody would knows that. But
Yep.
what did it take for you? Because as you were describing, it wasn't until you were in high school, like a senior, when you started making that transition, like maybe I should think about this seriously. So, in order to compete at that level, can you describe the mindset it takes to compete at that level?
My mindset, I mean, it's kind of hard to explain because if you haven't done it, then you won't fully understand.
Mm.
Because like what people see, on TV, what they see is people running around, people, making tackles, running around, making moves. What they don't see is the preparation for, the training just to be strong and fast enough to perform. the mindset to remember a 300-page playbook with all the checks, audibles, formations. I mean, we're talking about you got one formation, we got 80 pages of checks and formations of what we need to do. Like it was literally a job. It became your job. Like this is, and we're not talking about 9 to 5. We're talking about lifetime. It's like what you eat affects your job. What you do outside of football affects your job. What you do while you're there affects your job. So regardless of if you're home, you went to go out, hang out somewhere, you go to the grocery store, or you're in the football building, what you're doing greatly affects you from either playing or going to that meeting until you go, clean your locker out, just to watch somebody else's name slide right back to the locker you used to have.
So what motivated you? So you see all these other people that are living their life, they're working 8 to 5, they're buying the house and,
Mhm.
and having kids. So what motivated you to keep pressing harder and harder to play at the NFL level? What pushed you?
Well, I mean, if we go back to high school, there's a lot of things. There's a thing that people don't know. I mean, there's something I don't think I even told my mom this, but back when I graduated, there was a group that was in our neighborhood, and they were, part of the local gang. Like I don't want to say names, so I have friends that was around that, and they, invited me there because, he was like, usually the person that's selling candy, selling all the stuff that's around the place is most likely the dope dealer. He's the he or she is the person that runs that, area. And they use like selling, give stuff out to kids and everything as a cover up so people don't sit there and be suspicious, but usually you find out. So they wanted me initially to their gang and they had everything ready. So the time that they were supposed to get me initiated is when I got the offer to Garden City Community College. So it was either at that time my mindset was like I don't know what to do. I don't want to go that route. I know what can come out in that route, but at the same time, I'm going to be spending 2 years out in the middle of Kansas, middle of nowhere, with nothing but flat land and fields, cow manure. But it gives me a second chance. So eventually, I took the football route. I took the scholarship. I moved out to Kansas. The funny story is, I found out 2 weeks after I moved, they was looking for me, and the person that was running everything, he ended up dying 2 weeks later. He had a road rage incident and got shot in the road. So life could be a lot different if I stayed home. A lot of athletes. There's also athletes that are so good, but then they get so homesick that they literally just go back home and just quit football. Me, it was like I don't want to go back home with failure because in high school there was only 3 of us that got scholarships, and I was the person they said I was supposed to be the first one to come home, and the one that actually got the high scholarship because my grade won't was there, but they weren't quite there at that time. So Auburn gave him the scholarship. So he ended up going to Auburn, and then I ended up, getting a good time around NFL. The person that they highly praised only lasted a semester in Auburn. He transferred to another college, and that was the last thing I heard from
Wow. Marcus, that's really a powerful story.
him.
Before we move on,
Yeah.
is something that one message that you can tell the listening audience when they feel discouraged and they feel like there's no hope? Can you give them hope? Can you tell the audience, or give them give them hope when they are, because we have a lot of people that are depressed and
Yep.
feel hopeless. So can you give them hope before we move on to our next topic?
Well, I mean, there's hope and then there's mindset change. I mean, there's always going to be things that will upset you. There are always going to be things that can get you to that depressed moment. What you need to realize is the longer you sit, the more that problem won't go away. Your life depends on what you do, how you act, and what you think. There's always going to be thoughts of depression. There's always going to be stuff that can bring depression on. Is the issue that needs to be addressed is how you focus on what thoughts that would not make you depressed, not make you sad. It's still your control. You can't control the thoughts that go in your head, but you can focus on what thoughts to focus on.
And
You
that's what
start,
you did.
yep, yep.
So
I
before,
mean, depression, works with your dopamine levels to make you depressed, make you sad. It messes with your emotions. So, but you always got that mindset. You always got the power of like, no, I'm not going to go that route. This is what I need to focus on. Like, this is the problem. I need to find a solution. It's like a thing of saying operate in chaos. A lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people must quote it because people don't realize like your life is always in the operation of chaos. You always got something that's going on at home. You got gas lines, you got power. Something can happen, something can happen there, something that can happen while you drive, something that can happen while you're going to work, something can happen while you go to work, something can happen when you just sit down. Your life is always in chaos. It's learning to be disciplined enough to operate in that chaos is how you control your emotions and feelings.
very nice. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I really enjoyed listening. I can't imagine being in that situation where you choose the NFL or gang life. That's really powerful. That's a message that our young people should listen to. And
Yeah.
before we move on to the next topic, I just want to let the listening audience know that in the show notes, I'm going to post the YouTube video, also Marcus's contact information, Instagram, Facebook. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to him directly. So thank you, Marcus.
Oh, you're welcome.
So the next topic I'd like to address is, and by the way, I never gave Craig an opportunity to ask any questions.
Right? He's like, hello.
Because I'm a talker,
I know my place.
Oh, this is awesome. So the next topic I want to talk about, because you're into fitness and you're into wellness, my question for you, Marcus, as a professional, I'm going to come from a woman's perspective and say, what if I have okay, this is a question that women have, not me necessarily, but when we struggle with our weight and we work out and we feel that we're eating healthy, our tendency to turn to weight loss drugs, medication to help us lose the weight. So I want to ask you, what's your opinion on that? Your thoughts, concerns, and what message do you want to tell us? Because before you share, I did work out for you listening audience, I did work out with Marcus during the pandemic, and Marcus believed very firmly on getting out and working out, breathing, moving, eating properly. So he's a huge advocate for that. So with that said, this is why I'm wondering your views on taking alternative things to help people get into shape. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, when it goes into like people taking supplements or, all the way to procedures, whatnot, it always goes to the same thing of quick results get you, or quick decisions that give you quick results. Quick results don't give you quality results. So when you're taking like a supplement, like say, you can go from semaglutide to gastric bypass. you're doing something to take a shortcut to skip the journey that it takes to get your mindset to the point where you can keep the body that you're looking for. That's the best way I can explain it. Because when your body is going through a rapid change, it doesn't give it time to learn, adapt. So, like skin, let's say gastric bypass, there's a lot of people that have it. There's a lot of people that should not do it because when you lose that much amount of weight, you don't give your skin time to regain its elasticity. Case in point, me going from 317 to 225, some people might think wouldn't have skin. I have skin from underpits right here into my belly. When I lost that weight, my skin was, literally hanging, and it took almost a year and a half for it to finally firm up and be where it was. So that's the issue when you're dealing with somebody that you have extra skin hanging everywhere. And there's a lot of people that just barely struggle to pay for that gastric bypass. Imagine them having to pay for skin surgery. A lot of people don't have that funds, especially this time of day. Or when you're taking like the skinny, like a skinny tea, that was a bit popular thing. Or when you're taking something like Altavia, the weight loss program. Like depending on what you're doing, there's a lot of people that go through that program that don't do the program right. The program usually is supposed to be a base model to teach you how to eat properly and what to look for. And people like to skip that step. It's like, this is going to help me lose weight. They don't really give the thought process of learning how to eat. So they'll go through the programs, lose all this weight, and then next thing you know, they start gaining weight back fast and then they lost it. That's why I meant quick fixes give you quick results, but it don't give you quality results. So if you go through the way it's supposed to, what we call it, not reinventing the wheel, by going through the process, going through the detox from the sugars, all the alcohol from the breads, part of the yeast, going through that change of the body, the mindset of, oh, I'm dying, I need a soda, oh, I need a cookie, I need sugar, I need this, I need that, to, oh, I'm starting to feel better. Oh, man, the day's getting late. I need to, work out. Like, oh man, I gotta make sure I, get my food. Then it starts being a habit. Once it starts being a habit, you get to the point where you are actively making sure you're doing the same steps. That's when it becomes discipline. The thing about discipline will get you through the good days, get through the bad days. Everybody's gonna mess up. I mess up. Sometimes I go and eat certain things, but at the same time, do I go day 2 eating bad, day 3 eating bad? No, I go through 1, maybe 2 meals. Sometimes I sneak, little bit of sugar here and there. Sometimes I might have a little drink here and there. But when I wake up that morning, I'm back on my plan. I'm back on what I'm doing. And that's where the discipline comes in to give you sharp focus to, all right, playtime's over, let's go. And sometimes when you do that, sometimes your discipline becomes stronger because you'd be so ashamed of, like, oh, what did I do to myself? Why did I break my discipline? I can't do that. Let's go. Then you have that extra, you get motivation through discipline. With discipline gives you instant motivation instead of trying to find the motivation to become disciplined.
Say that one more time because that was really good. It's what that creates motivation. That was good.
Discipline is what creates continuous motivation instead of you looking for the motivation to create the discipline.
Oh, we have that backwards, I think, especially on social media. We're
Yeah,
talking about being motivated.
yeah.
Well,
I sometimes I always post stuff for give people motivation. What I really don't look at as motivation. What I look at is like, here's the facts, what you need, what some people are going through. That I might have a conversation with somebody. I might overhear somebody having a struggle. Then I correlate some thoughts, find something that correlates that thought, post it. People look at it as motivation. I look at it as here are key points for you to get through that certain situation that that person is going through. Sometimes that's what they needed to switch into that discipline mindset to go forward. Some people use it as motivation until something happens and they be right back drinking soda again. By the way, this is water. I know everybody saw the cup earlier, but it's water. I got done with coaching, so I had to get water before I came home.
So basically what I'm hearing is your eating is a lifestyle for the rest of your life. It's
Yes,
not.
because when you become that disciplined mindset, that goes with nutrition. Your body's been so used to eating clean for so long. Now you start putting in that processed food, your candies, sodas, everything. Your body start treating it like a toxin, especially when you go through, and especially with you somehow with women with the cuts and everything. Go look at the women that does, physique, bikinis, and bodybuilding. They go through that harsh diet week after week after week. We're talking about 12 to 16 week programs. Straight eating clean, no going out, no soda, none of that. And with women, especially, there's a thing called reverse dieting. They have to go through that reverse diet after cutting for so long because in terms of being on a show, you have to be at a certain body fat that is lower than the recommended amount for females. And like you see here, man's like, oh, man's like 40% body fat. There's no way for a female to try to be 40% body fat. Oh, female can be 13% body fat, look like a man look like 4. Women carry more fat than males because of the way of reproducing. That's the difference with females. What females can do, they have to have that extra fat for organs to work properly to be able to produce an offspring.
So I want to talk a little bit about men and fitness and how that plays in their sexual performance. We
Okay.
don't we don't talk about that a lot, and so
Yeah.
I'm gonna say a statement that's gonna sound really judgmental, but it's coming from my perspective from a woman. Okay,
Okay.
that is, I see majority of women in my world, because I do hang out in the gym a lot, is I see women really trying hard to look good, look beautiful, for men, to attract men. Um, so I don't see, now this is a general statement in my world, but I don't see a lot of men that work hard to keep themselves in shape. I mean, there's some, but I see more women than I would men. And the men I see is like, well, they think they're hot even with the belly. I mean, they're just shaking what God gave them and they're really proud of it, And
Yeah.
so we don't see any need to change. So could you share with our listening audience what are the benefits for men, in getting into shape and staying fit as they age? Because I see the
As
younger,
a,
yeah,
yeah.
as they age. Yeah.
Well, I mean, as they say, females are, you see a lot more females in the gym trying to work hard, get that body because, attractiveness is everything. For males, we're males. We have testosterone. We have a high level of testosterone. We are breeders. We're that's who we are. That's what males are. You can take 100 females and one male and repopulate. So that's just what we are. So but
It
at
might
the
take
flip
it
side,
might take 100 women to get one of them pregnant, because a lot of us don't care about having sex or not. So I mean, it depends on what kind of what
when
type
you
of
come
money
on
you
an island with just like 3 males, then what you gonna do?
get.
Like they can say they don't want it, but deep down you got intimate organs too. They want action too. So I mean, it'll only be so long before you be like, okay. But back on the topic, the thing, yes, we need to be better with health and fitness. The flip side is society put money in the pedestal to where the man has money, he can do whatever he wants. The flip side about that is because he has money, that means that's all he care about. So most of them, they have that type of body style of they don't care. But then at the same time, wondering why they have to spend $1,000 for a female and can't perform, wondering why females are so upset. Because once you get past 35, the rate of erectile dysfunction increases, and there's a lot of men that suffer for that. But then at
Right.
the same time, you got to look at the man of why is he suffering from erectile dysfunction? What's the primary thing of getting an erection? It's blood flow. When you have what quote unquote, when I say shitty blood flow, meaning you're eating bad, you're not taking care of your body, you're not working out, you can't even do 5 push-ups on the ground. When your body is going through all that trauma, you got to remember, your body works best when it's in shape. That means it has less to filter out and control. When your body's not in shape, when you're eating bad food, not giving it the food necessary, the nutrients, the my vitamins, minerals, everything needed for that body to function properly, you're not giving it that. You're just giving it a bunch of fillers with processed food, your Popeyes, always going out drive through, always eating what's in a box, was made with like 50 different ingredients on it. When you eating that, you start dirtying out your blood. When it gets to a point where the blood is so busy trying to keep everything else going, you start losing your function. So that's what men need to start to clean up. They need to not only working out for anybody. If you work out, your body feels better. You won't have a bad back. There's a majority of men with bad backs, but at the same time, they're working, and that's it. They're working, drinking, eating, that's it. They don't take care of their bodies, and it gets to a point the body can compensate for so long before something has to give. Whether it's your back, your knees, usually it's back and knees for most men. So that's a key point.
It's really good. Okay, I have to
Mhm.
circle back to what you said. I'm assuming that you said, and I want to clarify, is that women go after money. So they go after men that have money. I don't
Not
know.
all women, not
I know,
all
but
women, not
hey,
all
but let
women.
me just, but
But
let me
you
just,
gotta understand, when there's women out there, they are true, they are, looking for someone who is mindful and everything. But then you got society, what you see on Facebook, what you see on Instagram. Most of the time you see that lifestyle. Then because what you look at is an algorithm of what the society wants you to think. So the more you keep looking at, oh, I gotta get that person with 6 figures. Oh, this is, if he don't have this, then he's not loyal, or he's not worthy. But at the same time, everybody's trying to fight for equality. It's the same, it's crossroads. Women got to worry about more about what they can provide mentally, physically, compassionately. Men have to worry about the health, their compassion, their being able to provide. And we're not talking about just money, providing mentally, providing spiritually. Like that's the key points people miss. They don't look at that. They look at what they can get, what they can have, instead of what can they gain, what they can grow together.
well, I wanted to mention because we live in Scottsdale. So those of you that are listening all over the world, Marcus,
Oh yeah,
Marcus and
yeah.
I are in
That's
Scottsdale, and Scottsdale is known to have the most cosmetic surgery in the whole country. So that's why we're talking like this. But I also
mm,
want to tell you that there was a survey done, and they asked women when they got divorced, when they were to remarry, would they marry for love or money? And you know what? 95% said they would marry for money, not for love.
Yeah,
I just thought that was funny because
I'm
really,
saying, like
it's like taboo. It's like,
I'm
oh,
afraid I'm not many people will say it, but I'm sure someone's going to say something. But I mean, results is results. Like the results are there. Society's pushing it to look that way. But if you actually think about stuff and look at more motivational or more stuff that tells facts instead of what people want you to see, you start to realize the differences between men and women. No, men have the same many problems as females, and everybody's attacking what their disadvantages are and trying to say who's better, who's not. Everybody got something to work on. People need to focus on what they need to work on so they can be a better person for somebody else.
Very
Because
well.
if you're not a good person yourself, how can you provide for somebody? How can you be there for somebody? And you can't even be there for yourself.
And I want to talk more about that. So before I want to close up, and I want to say thank you for sharing all that. I know you haven't mentioned this, but so I'm going to mention this. You have a meal plan, and you have the ability to customize meal plans for people. And I share
Yes.
that with the people listening all over the world. So if you're a listener and you're struggling with your diet, your exercise program, you're at a complete loss, I would really highly suggest that you reach out to Marcus. And do you want to say anything before we close on that subject? Because I'll put your information again on my show notes so they can reach out to you. And it's something that you offer, and there's a cost to it. And they can reach out to you, and you can work with them one-on-one and mentor them, or just get the meal plan, whatever. So
Yeah. But
exactly.
yes, I do provide meal plans, and it comes with what I do. Whatever, if you're trying to do weight loss, if you're trying to do an athletic event, or if you're a person that dealing with like quote unquote cerebral palsy, or you have someone that dealing with autism that needs that type of plan, because not one plan fits for everybody. Everybody has a different type of body. Everybody has a different type of way of processing food. At the same time, you need the proper nutrients, the proteins, carbs, and fats to function to optimize your body. Because the one thing people don't realize, in order for your body to burn fat, it's going to burn alcohol, dairy, and sugar first before it start burning that fat. And with the meal plan, you won't have to worry about the processed sugar. You won't have to worry about the extra alcohol or the dairy, yeast, all that stuff that are fillers that fill your stomach up. You'll have clean nutrients and vitamins for your body to shed off all the fat, all that excess fat that you have on your body.
Wonderful. So thank you. And we'll post all that information.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to go on to one last topic, which I think is really important. Everything else you've talked about is very important, but I would like to bring in Craig
Okay.
and discuss why men struggle with sharing their feelings. And because I have a lot of women that listen to the podcast, and I'll, I'm going to share a little bit about myself real quick, is I'm married to an introvert, and I've been married 35 years, and I've spent 35 years trying to pull information out of him, and he doesn't like sharing his feelings. And I'm going to be really vulnerable with you too, so that you can be vulnerable with us. Is sometimes when my husband does open up, I don't really know what to do with those emotions. And it scares me sometimes because he doesn't share them. And I think he's, strong and tough and the silent type. And this is, um, I'm going to be really raw on this, but sometimes I forget that his feelings matter. And I might go so far to say that maybe I'm really selfish in sharing my feelings and feel that maybe my feelings are more important than his, which is not true, but in my behavior and my actions. So I want to throw that out to both of you to share Why is it difficult for men to share their feelings? And we'll go from there.
Because usually our feelings are connected to, stuff we've done, emotions. And what women don't realize is our feelings are like our events. What we tell to certain females that we think that we can trust, we tell them our deep dark secrets. And there's a lot of feelings that we don't really rationalize our feelings because we're so used to, men don't cry, men don't show emotions. We always keep it bottled in. So when we tell somebody, that's that vulnerability is like worse than some dude going outside streaking naked down the street. He can care less about that. But telling somebody's deep dark secret, that's really a vulnerable spot for a man. So and the thing with females don't realize that yes, y'all have that ability to have that point of my feelings because y'all are female, y'all are full of estrogen. Estrogen produces the notion of emotion. It relies heavily on emotion. So y'all are emotional beings. So when he or argument wins at a certain point, y'all can care less about men's feelings. And it's not most, I say about 6% of it's not your fault. Y'all females, y'all emotional beings. That's what happens. So when a female becomes that emotional and uses that secret or that conversation you had with her to go against you to validate her feelings instead of your feelings, that's like a I'll say almost like a lack of respect because we rely more on respect than love because anybody can love us, nobody can respect us. So when
Whoa.
we
Okay.
get hit with that vulnerability attack with emotional argument and whatnot, it really hits home, really hits hard. And like I said, our emotions are so in the tight. So when it gets invaded like that, you're talking about trust, you're talking about our respect. It's like it goes stuck in the limbo.
Whew. Craig.
So my perspective is probably influenced by my state in life. So I'm in my mid 40s, been married for 20 years. I have 9 children. Um, you know, as I was thinking about this, you know, for me at least, a major objective of my life is I take seriously the desire to be a provider for my wife and our children. I feel my job is to carry burdens, not to give burdens to other people. And
Mhm.
so for me, sharing my feelings, and as sort of as Marcus said, my wife is going to be more of a feelings based person or emotional person than I am. I do not want to add to her burden. I want to take her burdens and put them on my shoulders and carry them. That just feels like my job. By putting my feelings out there, sometimes it feels like I'm just putting that from my shoulders onto her shoulders and making myself a burden to her. And that psychologically is something that you know, it's just not who I am. It feels like, that you are failing in your job as a provider and a protector and a burden carrier. And I don't want my wife to be carrying my burdens. I think I would, if I had to, maybe if
Our
I sat
burden,
under a microscope and had someone study me, but that's my best, best explanation for why, for me at least, it's hard to share feelings.
is like our pride is like you know er, people need to realize, with a man, your name is everything. You only get one last name. So if people sitting here, putting out your deep dark secrets, that means your name's getting tarnished. And we make money with our name. We make money in our mindset to provide because that's what we have to do. So when that gets attacked, that's pretty much attacking our character, ourselves as a man.
Okay, so you said something pretty powerful, and that was, well, both of you did.
Mhm.
As a woman, I don't get that. Because I am a feeler, I'm an emotional person, but I'm attracted to that behavior. I'm attracted to that. And
Mhm.
so that's what's great about men and women, how they can attract because they're different. So you said something about respect and love. And Marcus, you said anybody
Yeah.
can love you, but not everybody can respect you. So I'd really like you to tell me what the difference is between love and respect, because I agree with you, because when I ask men, they say they'd rather be respected than loved. I don't understand that. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. So could you two try to help us women understand what that means? Again, and go slow and try to, I don't know, communicate as best you can for us to understand. I know, Marcus, because I can, you can give me one topic and I can go 2 hours, and I can give you that same topic and you can answer that question in one sentence. See how different that
Man,
is?
we're already packing in like 6 to 8 hours of talking into one segment, so I can understand that.
Uh-huh.
And that is a bit subject. That is a bit subject.
So I don't know if you can answer it, but what does love mean and what does respect mean?
Because love is emotional. Because we take as love as a emotion, and with females, like I said, they a female can love you one day, she can hate you the other because it's emotion. It's an emotion, and that's when the flip side of it with men, why we value respect, because you can love me you can love me to death one day, you can not like me one day, you can be okay with me one day, still, I still got love for you. You can be like, I do not like this dude one day. But if you do something that goes against our respect, we feel that is worse than someone not loving. You can tell me you don't love me one day, but if you still give me respect, I value that more than anything, because that tells me that you're still with me. You're still, by giving me respect. And we're not talking about like you have to respect me. Respect is more of, hell, you can go to bed mad, still wake up and still care about that person. You're like the care don't go away. You know, being around that person don't go away. That's what we're talking about. It's like that's why like adult they respect their owners. That's why we always say they give you that unconditional love. They always love you because they respect you. That's how like we had a talk with dogs with you, and remember I said I grew up with German shepherds, pit bulls, and you said you was afraid of them. And I said I get it, because German shepherds are big dogs. You look at pit bulls, most people are so intimidated by pit bulls, but at the same time, if that pit bull respects you, that pit bull will be your best companion ever, because they build heavily on respect. They are those dogs that will be on your right leg till the day they die. That's the type of dog they are.
So Craig, what's your do you see it the same way, or what's your view on love and respect?
My my view is probably a little different. I think love is given, respect is earned.
Hmm.
And I think that for me at least, as a man, my value, how I value excuse me, how I value myself is very much related to what kind of value I'm providing to other people, to my family, to society. Respect is something that someone doesn't owe me, but I've earned earned it in their eyes. I provided something of value. I've accomplished something,
Mhm.
and I wonder if that isn't part of it, is our desire to not just be someone, but to accomplish something, to make someone else's life better. And so when someone respects you, they've you've earned that from them, I think. might
Mhm.
be might be what's going on. I don't know. I mean, that I suspect that's what it is for me, and probably for a lot of guys.
No, but that's really what I was saying. It's like, because love can be thrown out everywhere. Respect, when someone respects you, that was earned. So
Mhm.
things can happen, and you still have that respect for each other. So just like every relationship, you have good days and bad days, but you still hold that respect for each other. So life goes on, and you get better.
So
Because like my thing, what I was taught with love is kind of different from people, because between, you know, the fame, even though I was in the AFL for longer than I was in the NFL, I still had that fame. Though people knew me throughout the whole country. People always like, "Oh, I love you," this and this and this. No, girls like, "Oh, I love you," this and this and this. And then as soon as you stop playing football, like for me, my experience, because I wasn't that, the Hines Ward of Pittsburgh. I wasn't the Brett Favre for Green Bay, the Randall Cunningham for the Eagles. I wasn't, that super max player. So most players that are like me, we have a good amount of that love support of me being on that football field. But as soon as I hang that cleats up, as soon as I start giving them that entertainment on the football field, their love disappears. I mean, there's a lot of people that used to talk to me on the daily when I was playing ball. And then now I I mean, I lost count how many people stopped talking to me just because, I stopped playing ball. Only time they actually start, and then there's a lot of people that won't talk to me, but as soon as I like post something that's like a memory of football, here they come commenting. It's like, so can't comment nothing else, or how I'm trying to help people or do anything, but you can sort of talk about me running around the field.
wow, only somebody at your level probably experiences something like that, because
Yeah,
most
yeah.
everyday people like myself have no idea, or my husband has no
I know what I'm
idea.
saying. It goes net deep. I mean, it goes from people that you still don't even know, to people that's the closest to you.
Okay,
Like,
so Craig and I have been married a long time, so
mm,
that love is, we get that. I think I'm not speaking for you, Craig, but um, I can't imagine what that must be like, having these women constantly telling you they love you. And how do you ever figure out who truly loves you? I mean, I can't.
well, they think you're playing ball. You think you're playing ball, so you're established. You got money. So that's one thing. That's the biggest thing out there. So, oh, he got money, so he can provide. He can do this. He can do that. So yeah, a lot of females gonna go for it.
So it's that
But
status symbol as well. Like, here I am with this football player. He makes a lot of money. I'm not. You did sign a contract. I'm not going to discuss the money, but it was a
yeah,
lot of money, that some money I've never seen in my life. I hope to see it one day, but I've not seen that kind of money, and I can't imagine having that kind of money at such a young age. And then wondering who in the world you trust. Who around you can you trust with this? And then when it comes to relationships, who do you ever invest in, and who do you become vulnerable with? What you just said earlier. Um, how do you know that this is the person that you can invest in, and she's got the right intentions, not alternative intentions? So, Craig, what do you think? We have been going for like an hour and a half. Um,
Mhm.
any thoughts from your perspective on this subject?
Well, I can't relate to the fame and
Yeah, me either.
being chased by flocks of women. So
Yeah,
that's a
well,
different
I
language
mean,
to
I
me.
wasn't that person to go out either, so I avoided a lot.
Yeah,
And throughout my career, I have had girlfriends that I was with, so it kind of kept me away. But at the same time, we we can go on that other subject. How women love to compete. They see somebody with somebody like, oh, I want that.
but I want to interject, but I do want to say, Craig, I've never seen anything like it because I've been out with him, with my husband and friends.
You seen, yeah, you and Kurt seen firsthand
I have
how.
seen,
And I'm just sitting there, just being me. I'm not being suggestive. I'm not being a butthole.
I,
I'm not.
I
And
have
they
seen
just
things
have
that
to, and
I've
they
seen
not
things
getting that attention.
I have seen things I've never seen in my entire life and probably never will, only when I'm around Marcus. But I witnessed firsthand a woman jumping on him. I won't go into more detail because you don't go into more detail, Marcus, on
It
this
was at
because
a party. It was at a party. It was at a party. She turned around, said, "Hey," she was drunk, and she felt that she could just jump on me.
and she wrapped herself around his neck, her legs around it, and just hung
Yeah,
on him, and his arms were out like this. And
just like that.
I,
Right.
I I've never seen anything like that, and I've seen women just flock around him, and he says he'll say stuff like, "Well, what do you like?" With my husband and stuff, he goes, "Gosh, what do you do if these women keep hitting on you?" And my husband goes, "I don't know. I don't have that problem, Marcus." and most
Yeah,
guys
he
don't
didn't
have
know
the
because
problem.
I looked at him and he was looking at me like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, the
So I
men
just
don't
looked
have
at
that
her.
kind
It's
of
like,
problem.
either you're gonna get off or you're gonna slide off. And she eventually got off. And
She did. But yeah, most men that I know don't have your problems, Marcus,
yeah,
with women. Most of
yeah,
them are.
it's always something. It's always something.
Well, I know we probably got to end this call, in this wonderful conversation, and I could ask tons more questions because you're um, have so many different experiences I than other people in my life. And before I close, I just want to say, Marcus and I are completely opposite. And for those of you who are listening, that are listening, um, I'm white, he's black, I'm female, he's male, I'm married, he's been married, he's got children that are smaller, mine are grown. I'm an extreme extrovert, he's an introvert, professional extrovert. And so, yet we still get along great. We still laugh about our differences. We have a great time laughing about our differences, me being a female and him being a male. We have a great time talking about that. I'm not offended. He's
You
not
try.
offended when I talk about him being a male and all those fun things. So, as a listening audience, we're not offended by each other's differences. We
No.
celebrate those differences. And I just hope that you've enjoyed this conversation. And again, Marcus, I'm going to have, you'll give me all the information so I can put it on the show notes.
Yeah.
And for those of you that are listening to and you need a coach and you need a wellness coach, I'll list all his information below on the show notes, but there's a lot more that we have not talked about. And I truly believe he saved his son's life. And Adonis is how old? 3, 4 now?
He's 5. He's 5 now.
5. But
Hmm.
for more of that information, because we need to cut this because we all need to go to bed because it's late here when we're doing this interview. But go to his Facebook feed and also Instagram feed, and you will see the story on how Marcus put all of his attention and whole heart into his little boy, who's the most beautiful little boy you've ever seen. And again, I believe he was
Yeah.
walking
His
in.
story. It was on literally 2.5 years ago. I received a call from his mother, and she's like, he used the bathroom himself. She went and put him in the tub. She came back in to check on him, and he wasn't moving his arm, so she decided to take him to the hospital. So I went to the hospital. While I went to the hospital, I was like, maybe he had a stinger, but maybe something's going on. So I called my people that I know because me being a wellness specialist, not only I deal with just training, I deal with medical groups just so if someone has a certain like MS, I know how to work with someone with MS. I know how to work with somebody with cerebral palsy. I know how to work with somebody with, you know, so on and so forth. So I called my people up, told them the symptoms, told them what I'm looking at. So the virus is called acute flaccid mitis. Acute flaccid mitis. It attacks the gray matter of the nervous system. So it causes the body to fight the gray matter of your nervous system. And that is the fluid that controls your whole process. So you can go limp from your legs to your arms, all the way to the point where you can stop breathing. We're talking about your bowel, not losing control of your bowel movements, losing control of your organs. Your nervous system controls everything. So when that's getting attacked, it can be really serious. So granted, I didn't get into the hospital till 5 hours later because COVID rules, only one parent in the waiting room to get a room. We got in there. I got my answers from all my people. They told me exactly what it was before, and they told me the best thing to do is physical therapy. So next morning, I was picking them up, walking them, put them in a car. The only thing that was moving on him was his left leg. He couldn't move his arms or his right leg.
Mm.
And we started, left foot, move it, move it, move it. I helped him walk. We tried to move his arms. And it took 8 days for them he had the steroid. They thought they had an idea that it might be acute flaccid, so they treated it. They didn't really know exactly what it was until day 8. And usually they'll tell me for this virus, most people don't get moving again 3 to 6 months. I have an aunt that's MS. She told me don't be surprised that he don't start walking until after 3 months. And like I was at this hospital 12 hours a day. Me and his mother, we did 12-hour shifts. I was there 12 hours a day, and we slept a little bit and we was working. Slept a little bit, work. By day 8, I actually had him walking. He was walking on his 2 feet on his own. He was finally able to move his arms a little bit. He wasn't able to move his arms yet, but he was able to walk within 8 days. So he lasted 2 weeks in the hospital, and he walked out of the hospital on his own.
Hmm.
And from there, I had no help with my partner. She was a physical therapist, so she took over the latter part, the last 4 months of his recovery. And within 4 months, he was climbing, walking. Like only me and her can see what areas of him is weak because we know exactly what's going on. Like if most people that see him, they would think he's completely fine. Me, I already know it's like his right glute isn't firing the way it's supposed to. His hips are twisted because of the muscle dysfunction there. But like there's little things like the tone in his fingers, like we're constantly working on tying shoes. He's finally learning how to tie shoes now. So, and the thing about that is also his bowel movements. We had to reteach him how to use the bathroom again too. That's something people don't know either. It took him about almost a year to finally be able to use the bathroom while having to get somebody to help him use the bathroom. So yeah, right now he's swinging on poles, climbing stuff. He looks like a ready kid, and he's now playing flag football.
It's great. It's a great story. And Marcus, could you do me a favor and repost that story so it's on the top of your Instagram feed, so people
Okay.
that listen to this episode will be able to see it first, be the first thing they see, or one of the first few things they see on your Instagram feed. It's a powerful
Yeah.
story. So for those of you listening and you're struggling with children that have challenges, his story is powerful, and it will give you hope and it will give you encouragement. So it's a beautiful story.
All right,
Well,
I'll do that.
thank you, Marcus. And do you have any last um, anything lastly anything that you'd like to say before we end, Craig or Marcus?
Just thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me a place where I can speak freely and enjoy this, and hopefully we can come back and talk about other topics, because there was a lot of topics we had to cut off.
Mm. Yeah, we've been going. We're heading on the 2-hour mark. I mean, we're going. So,
Mhm.
Craig, how about you?
No, thanks for inviting me on. You're kind of living out most of our childhood dreams, or have lived that out, so it's pretty fun to talk to you. And see, I did have one question.
Okay.
So as a sort of a pudgy 45-year-old guy that's trying to be in shape, I'm curious how much time, I know you train other people, but how much time on a daily basis do you have to devote to your craft to maintain your body?
So I do more of, I call it a hybrid workout. Sometimes I lift, heavy weights. There's like a week I'll lift heavy weights. There's a week I'll do mobility. There's a week I'll do more reps. So I'm trying not to stay in the gym too long, because, between the kids, between your job, and me being this far experienced, I know how to fit everything. I try to cap it at an hour and a half. And usually I go between 4 to 5 days a week, and then take a day for like stretching, or a day for just a cardio. If I, go hike, if I want to go hike, if I want to go, like when I have the boys, we sometimes go to trampoline park. I go trampoline park, jump with them trampoline. There goes my day. What I do is like I devote more, like hour and a half, between 45 minutes to an hour and a half is usually my workout time. I try to keep it at that point and try to, have a plan. I always have a plan of what I'm doing, so I can hit everything I need to within that time. It took some time to get the endurance to do that. And even though everybody's like, oh, I'm 45, I'm this and this, we can talk about Jeannie. She's in her age, and she's nothing 225. And
What?
people,
What? That's
people at
not
her
my
age.
weight. 225, whatever that number was, that is not my weight. So just to
No,
clarify.
we're talking about deadlift. She did a deadlift.
Well, I didn't hear the deadlift part.
And for people in her age range, most people that look at that, they probably hurt their back trying to do that. And we're talking about Jeannie. She had chronic back pain up until she met me, and we've been constantly working on that, focus on that. And now she can lift heavy to keep her health and going. She can say herself how great she feels. It's like, who people that's your age that's surfing, who
Nobody.
didn't try to surf.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's not many. And like, even people my age, I'm only 36, but I see more 36 people that can't even, like, say if they have to go run somewhere, they can't do that. Whether they trip and fall something, they end up twisting their knee or hurting themselves. That's because they don't work out. The more you work out, the more resilient your body becomes, the more you can bounce away from things. If you fall, you can bounce off the ground, get up, instead of sitting here wondering why your legs broke.
Well, Marcus, I know we could go on all night, but I want to make a point on that. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not going to say my age, but I am older. But when I miss a week, if I'm on vacation, it's harder to get back into the rhythm of it. So those of you
Yeah.
that are listening and struggling with just getting up off the couch, just get up off the couch and walk, just walk a block if that's what it takes, but keep moving, because again, at my age, I slipped and fell into a hot tub, and my strength, my upper body strength, kept me from hitting the back of my head. Probably would have knocked me out and split my head open, but it didn't. And so, and one other thing I want to say is it helps me feel sexy as a woman. We haven't talked about sex much on this episode, but I feel so sexy and sexual by working out. That is my secret, because I don't take medication. I don't take drugs. Just hormones that I need for, to
Fit,
balance.
fitness helps shape the gray matter of your nervous system, and people don't realize that. Fitness changed the process of how that works. So when you're working out, your body adapts and becomes more resilient. That's how you get the sleepiness, the energy, everything. That's what the powerful way of fitness will do for somebody's. And we always say, if you don't move, you start dying. The only way you can keep your body young, the only way you can feel young, feel good, you got to keep that body moving.
Sorry, Craig, we interrupted you because you were asking
Oh, yeah.
some great questions. So did he answer your question?
No,
Yeah.
he did. That was helpful. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just gotta do that. Make sure you stay on your protein. Pound and a half per gram per pound of protein for your body.
Okay, so
That definitely helps.
if somebody weighs 150 pounds, they need to
Mhm.
take 150 grams of protein.
Depend if you're trying to gain muscle mass, the numbers differentiate, but you want to at least eat at least your body weight in protein for your muscles, because that's how you grow your muscles, through the protein.
So that's why it's important that
Yep.
people are listening to reach out to a coach or a trainer because they have that expertise in that area. Correct?
Yep. Instead of
Because,
eating salads 3 times a day.
well,
they
yeah,
have no-
Yeah.
well, you told me when you met me and you asked my weight. No man asks a woman her weight ever. And I was like, what? But you go, you know what? I'm a personal trainer, you said. And that didn't phase you. You're like,
Yeah, because women are so fixated on weight, when it's like girl, you're 5'10", 5'11". You're supposed to have more weight. You're taller. You got more body than someone that's 5'7".
and I struggle. You told me I don't eat enough protein.
Mhm.
And you said something that I keep learning. I don't know a lot, even though I've been training with you for 2 years.
Yeah.
I haven't been taking enough. I'm not taking enough protein. And then you said, if I have this correct, if you take in enough protein, you're not going to gain weight. You're just going to release the excess, right? But if you take an excess of carbs and the bad carbs, that's
Yep.
what you take in and turns to fat, correct? Was I
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Because when you take excess carbs, we eat more than your servers allow for your body to properly digest carbs, because carbs will turn to insulin. Insulin is what gives you that energy to move and everything. And when you don't use that insulin, it turns into sugar, then it goes into fat. When you're not using enough insulin, when you're not using insulin, it turns to fat, because it needs to be burnt off. When it's not burnt off, then you're just pretty much holding everything that you are eating.
Good. Well,
That's why what I said before, your body will burn off sugar, alcohol, and dairy before it burns fat.
oh,
Because dairy is a mucus, and fat loves mucus. It inflames your body. Fat is an inflammation. The fat that's necessary to burn, not the visceral fat. We're talking about 2 different types of fats. There are fats that are around your organs that is necessary to keep that organ functioning. Those are the fats that you need. That's why there's a threshold of body fat percentage you need to go by. Like men can't, if you go lower than 6, that's when you start losing that fat necessary for organs. We're talking about the fat that feeds off of inflammation that's yellow. It has a yellow tint to it. And that's the fat that you need to get rid of. So the less processed food you eat put in your body, the less dairy you put in your body, and the less alcohol you put in your body, will give your body a chance to become less inflamed, to help that body release the fat off of it.
all right. On that note, because that was good stuff, I'm just going to close out by saying thank you so much. And for those
Thank
that
you.
are listening, if you want more information, just reach out to Marcus. He'll help you. He'll assist you with your workout needs and your fitness needs and health needs. He's helped me. I'm a testimony to tell you he's amazing. And if those of you who can't see him, he is living and walking the talk. I promise you, he does it. I watch what he eats. He's eating the healthy stuff. So thank you so much, Marcus. And thank you so much.
Thank
Craig.
you.
Have a good
guys
night,
have a
everybody.
good night. Thank you.
All right. Good night, everybody.